Chapter 9, Audience Appreciation. So in this chapter, we're going to be looking at things like creating ICT products, like websites, PowerPoint presentations, things like that. Creating those type of products that match or cater or target towards a suitable audience. Alright, that is going to be for the first section of Chapter 9. Then we're going to find that we're going to move towards things like software copyright and internet policing, but those are going to come in the videos, hopefully, to follow in this week. So let's discuss this first part. What is meant by the term audience? An audience is who the product is aimed at, or who is going to use the product. ICT products could be things like websites, PowerPoint presentations, databases, etc. So it's going to be easier to create a product, such as a website or PowerPoint presentation, if you know the audience you are making it for. So for example, if you know your audience is mainly composed of young people, you can make a website which will stand out towards them. Maybe use specific colors or content, things like that, that will make them want to use the product. So knowing who your audience is helps you to design a product for them. So an audience, those who are going to use the product and who it is aimed at. What characteristics of an audience must be taken into account when designing a product? So when you're designing an ICT product, such as websites, PowerPoints, and databases, you should consider who is going to use it. So there are a range of audience characteristics that should be taken into account, such as age, gender, income level, and interests. Okay, so these are just some of the characteristics. So if you know the people's age, if you know their gender, the income level, and interests, you can design an ICT product which will be more suited towards them. So age, for example, if you know that they are either old, young, middle-aged, their gender, if you know they're male or female, the income level, if you know the range of their income, do they earn quite a lot of money, not as much, in the mid-range, or if you know their interests, like do they like music, or what stands out to them. So for example, we have over here two examples of different websites. This website over here is a real estate website. So for the real estate website, you'd probably focus on income level. So if you know the income level of your audience, so if you want to cater towards people that have a high level of income, you can then put quite a lot of expensive houses up for sale or rent on your website. This example over here is for people that like classic rock music. So if you are trying to stand out, get people who like rock, classic rock, to come and look at your website, you're then going to base your website on classic rock content. Okay, so knowing the age, gender, income level, and interest will help you develop a website or an ICT product for the audience you are targeting. So hopefully in the next few slides you're going to see there a few examples. Why must we analyze the needs of an audience? Alright, so different audiences have different needs, and the developers of an ICT product have to make sure that they meet as many of those needs as possible. The more needs that the ICT product caters for, the more likely that the intended audience are going to use it. So, for example, if you're developing a website for young children, if you do not make the site attractive and simple, children may not want to use it. Using complicated words, for example, would not be ideal on a website intended for young children. So pretty much, why do you want to analyze the needs of an audience? Well, the more you cater for those needs when you're knowledgeable of them, the more likely that your intended audience is going to use your product. What are the needs of young children, adults, and senior adults as an audience? So over here we have three different groups. We have young children, teens and adults, and seniors. So the characteristic we're looking at over here is age. So we have three different age groups. So if we look at young children, for example, and here's a website that might be developed for a younger person. On a website such as this, you're going to see that the needs are going to be the bright and cheerful colors on this website. There are animations and sounds, lots of pictures, less text, simple wording, large text fonts, which makes it easy to read, games and activities for content, and it must be easy to use, so there must be lots of buttons rather than typing. So these needs here will cater towards a young child, and you can see that that is kind of what is being displayed in this example over here. So this website will stand out to a young child. Teens and adults. Alright, so here's an example on the right here. So a website which is designed for teens or adults, you are most likely to find that there are attractive colors, interesting content. There must be schoolwork, hobbies, and social media on this website. There must be a balance of pictures and text. It must be uncluttered. It mustn't use childish language. There must be clear fonts, so it's nice and easy to read. And you can use bullet points, easy to absorb information. So for example, websites that you might find attractive to you are going to be websites more like this. And the last group is seniors, so the older age group. So here again is an example on the right. So a website intended for senior citizens will probably contain contrasting colors, which makes it easier to read. It must include clear instructions. The font size must be quite large, so that's going to make it easier to read as well. Minimize the use of technical terms. Consistent design. The navigation buttons must be in the same place, because if you start maybe moving buttons around, it could get confusing. But if you keep the buttons in the same place, it will make it easier for these senior people to navigate through the website. And easy to use. Click buttons rather than type. Alright, so everything's just about making it easier in this case. So I hope this makes sense. So in terms of age, you can see that each age group has their own needs. Alright, so when you design a website, for example, to these different age groups, if you know their needs, you can appeal to that age group a lot easier. Explain what solutions must meet the needs of an audience or the audience. If you don't produce ICT solutions that are built for a specific audience, you could run into a variety of problems. So these are just a few. So I'll just read through them together. You might find that if you don't cater to your audience, they can't read fonts. So if your audience is older, they could have eyesight problems. So standard size fonts and poor consideration for color schemes could make text difficult for them to read. So they might struggle to read the font on your website if you don't consider what type of fonts and color schemes you use. Can't understand wording. If your audience is very young and you use complex wording, there's a good chance that they won't understand. This will make the product useless to them. Right, so if they're young children, you want to use simple words, for example. Not interesting enough to use. If the content of your ICT product is not interesting enough for your target audience, they won't use it. No attraction. Attracting the correct people to use an ICT product is often accomplished with color schemes. So an example here is for children to read a PowerPoint would require bright, cheerful colors. This would draw them to look at the slides. Whereas the teens and adults, they are more drawn to well-designed, professional-looking products that use complementary color schemes. And the last one, they can't use the product. It's another issue. If you make a complex product that requires a lot of typing or uses a lot of buttons, so for example this software over here has a lot of buttons and might need a lot of typing, this would be too difficult for a child to use. Alright, so these are some problems you might encounter if you don't cater to your audience's needs. Alright, so that is the end of this lesson. I hope it was alright. Let me know if you have any questions.